I'm glad everybody's here today. I want to thank you for that incredible tech rehearsal last night. Everything went beautifully. Can't wait to see the show tonight. Hope to be a part of it, actually. And I know all the work that you put in, it was really, really well rewarded. It came out beautifully. So what I want to talk about a little today is songwriting, which I've been doing for a long time. It's actually not my profession. I'm actually a lawyer during the daytime, but I write my songs at night and on weekends and on the subway. And the idea is that you can always do things creative, as you well know by what you do. And it's something special. It's a great part of your life. And songwriting, I have found, is a wonderful way to also be creative. I think a lot of people start by being a poet. How many of you have written some poetry? Or little snippets of wisdom that you put on papers? I always carry papers in my pocket. I'm always writing things down. I think one of the first things you want to think about when you're thinking of poetry and then eventually putting it to music is what's going to inspire you to write a song. Clearly, we're all walking around every day. Not everything we see is worthy of a poem or a song. But when you find something special, it might be you go out on a beautiful day like this, and the day just grabs you, and you say, wow, oh, what a beautiful morning. I think somebody once wrote a song about that. It's when you have a special feeling about something that transcends regular speech. That's the opportunity for a poem or a song to start. And as I had mentioned a little bit last night, something that was a part of all our lives was 9/11. And a lot was written about it, and a lot of people were talking about it. And I wanted to express my emotions about it, and I put it into a song. Actually, the song that you sung last night, One Heart, One Voice, is one of those songs. The Spirit of America is another song. And this one is a little more about the loss we all suffered. And it's called Halfway to Heaven. And I'd like to sing that for you because that was something very special to me. So if I can have my excellent technical crew help me out here, we can start on Halfway to Heaven.
Is that on iTunes?
Not yet. September morning in the greatest city known, a gentle breeze was blowing through the place they called their home, and high above the city they were working side by side in the gleaming towers, reaching far up to the sky. They were halfway to heaven, and I know they're all there now. Fathers, sons, and daughters, and mothers free and proud, and those who raced into the flames to save their fellow man. I know that they're all home now. They will always be among us, for their love can never die. who raced into the flames to save their fellow man. I know that they're all home now. I know that they're all home now. Thank you. So that's just an expression where I felt I had to do something more than just write words. I had to put it into a song. And that song, and a few of the others that you've sung, have been sung not only at New York City 9/11 ceremonies for many years, but also around the country. Because as I see in speaking with people here and in other places, it seems very often people outside of New York were affected just as strongly as people in New York by what happened on 9/11. And I want to take a little bit of time to talk about the mechanics of songwriting. People wonder, do you write the words first? Do you write the music first? I think it depends on the person. I've been talking about writing poetry because I generally start writing the verse, writing the words, and I find that as time goes on, as I'm working the words through my head, I get the melody. Some people I know actually will write the melody first, and then either they or someone they're working with puts words to it. It's an organic process. It's different for everybody. You just have to find your own way of doing it. Now, certainly, it's easier for people to write lyrics. You don't have to have any musical background for that. But then the question becomes, once you've written words, how do you put music to it? Do you work with someone in the community, among your friends, who is musically inclined? I've spoken to people who play mandolin and clarinet and guitar and violin just in this group. There are always people who are stronger in the musical side of it. Some are stronger in the words. Historically, the words and music have often been done separately by two different people. So once you have the idea you want to be a songwriter, the idea is to reach out and find someone to work with. I am fortunate in that I find that after I write the words, the melody tends to come to me. That's not the case with everyone, but some or most of the greatest songwriters actually did either the music or the lyrics and found someone else to work with on that. So I would say you reach out, you talk to people. If you're a musician and you want to write songs, put the word out that you'd like someone who might want to work on words with you. It's a collaborative effort. It always has been that way. Also, when you have colleges nearby, when you've got choral high school students, as I heard last night, you've got a wonderful high school chorus here. A lot of those people may be musically inclined. You have to reach out, whether it's through the choral director or speaking to the music department or at a community college or a college nearby. There may be people who have the other side of songwriting. Maybe they have the music but not the lyrics, or vice versa, and you can collaborate with them. And one of the great things about modern times is that once you write a song, there are so many ways to get it out to the world, much more than in the old days. Everyone now can have a website, Facebook, YouTube. It's incredible. I have a website. It's called America's Songwriter. Everybody can put a website out on the internet now. If you don't have the technical ability, I certainly didn't, to make a website, if you go to Network Solutions or GoDaddy or a lot of these others, they have templates. They have templates to make a website. All they ask of you is that you let them host the site, which means that they'll have a small monthly fee where they be sure it's up and running, and if you have any questions about it, let's say your songs aren't playing correctly on it, you call them up and they fix it. But you have these templates where you can have a website, you can put your songs on it, it's called an MP3 file, you can have text on it. You don't have to develop these skills yourself. There are so many competent, excellent talents out there who can be part of the collaboration with you. I find also traveling, whether it's to another city, on vacation, whatever, expands my mind, and it'll expand your mind in terms of new ideas, new possibilities for songwriting. I remember a couple of years back, I was with my wife Lorna, and we were down in Nashville, Tennessee, which of course has such an incredible musical tradition. And I was walking around there, and I guess I felt the musical vibe in the air. And a song came to me while I was down there.
So you went to Studio B immediately and recorded it.
I raced over. This song is called The Tree of Life. And I'd like to sing it for you now. Whenever I see a child who's crying, and someone is there to wipe away the tear, and whenever I see a broken man trying, and someone is there to wipe away the fear, then I know the world is working in ways I hardly understand. And each heart may find its glory when there's a helping hand. For the tree of life keeps on growing, sheltering all who would come 'neath its bough. And let all the world's children be knowing that the tree of life still grows down. Whenever a voice calls out in sorrow, and someone is there with the words so soft and warm, and whenever the night blots out tomorrow, and someone is there with a candle till the dawn, then I know the world is working, and I smile and softly say, if there's a chance for new beginnings, I still may find my way. For the tree of life keeps on growing, sheltering all who would come 'neath its bough. And let all the world's children be knowing that the tree of life still grows now. And when I see your face and all the good you do, and I think of the times that we once knew, I hope someday you'll find your own peace of mind and your own special place in the world. For the tree of life keeps on growing, sheltering all who would come 'neath its bough. And let all God's children be knowing that the tree of life still grows now. The tree of life still grows now. Well, you have to give me a call and I'll send one to you. It'll be $15, special rate for you.
Okay.
I want to talk a little bit further about the influences that I've had over the years. When I was starting out in songwriting, maybe I was a teenager, I guess, and I was wondering, how do people write songs? And what I would do, in those days we had what were called long-playing records, you might have remembered those,
LP.
an LP, and I would put it on the Motorola, on the phonograph, and I would listen to the show tunes, Rodgers and Hammerstein, Lerner and Loeb, because they, of course, were the epitome of craftsmanship. And I'd sit there with my pad, and I'd write down the words. I didn't know at that point that you could actually go to a music store and buy a music book. So I would write out all the lyrics, and then I would listen to the way the music worked against the lyrics. Why did it go up here? Why did it go down here? Because there's a craft to it, and I think everyone has to learn it internally. You can't be taught that from the outside. You have to listen to how songs are being done, how the melody bounces against the lyric, how the beat goes. And that's really how I started. And then, as I mentioned, I started with writing poetry and then putting it to music. It takes time. I remember thinking, oh, you know, these songs that I write are so precious. In fact, it's a learning process. When I look back at some of the early ones, they were influenced by Phil Ochs, by Bob Dylan, by Woody Guthrie, but that's how you learn. You stand on the shoulders of the giants. That's how you move forward. And also, again, it's from your personal acquaintances, people you've come to respect, people you've come to know as you've gone on. A song that I want to sing for you now, it's called Carry On. And it's about a friend I had, a woman for many, many years. She had illness, and she always had a bright face. She always faced the day with courage. And it moved me to write this song. It's called Carry On. When the night is darkest and the heart can find no home, when the winds of fortune go astray, still somehow I know you'll find the light before the dawn. Somehow you will find your way. So carry on with a dream that's in your heart, with a smile upon your face, and that dream right from the start. Carry on, till the night becomes a day. Carry on till the dawn, oh carry on. When the words are written of the journeys of the heart, your story then will be well known. And the darkness that you fight against with every waking breath will fall away as you come home. So carry on with a dream that's in your heart, with a smile the day could be so long. I never knew the nights could be that way. I never knew that love could stay so long and stay from day to day. So carry on with a dream that's in your heart, with a smile upon your face, and that dream right from the start. Carry on, till the night becomes the day. Carry on till the dawn, oh carry on. So carry on, with a dream that's in your heart, with a smile upon your face, and that dream right from the start. Carry on, till the night becomes the day. Carry on till the dawn, oh carry on. Carry on till the dawn, oh carry on. Thank you. I'd like to take some questions from the audience. I see a lot of bright faces here. Yes?
You put music out on, say, YouTube, or you set up a website. How do you protect your rights?
A great idea. You have to protect your rights. You have to copyright your songs. You do that through the Register of Copyrights in Washington, D.C. They have a great, helpful website. It's called copyright.gov. And what you do for songs, it's called the PA form. It's for performing arts. And it's generally, I believe, about $35 for a copyright, but you can put a group of your songs together. You can have a medley of songs by Joe Smith, maybe 10 songs, all on one copyright. You could do it in a number of ways. You can do it as sheet music. If you or someone you know can write out what are called the lead sheets that have the melody line and the lyrics. Or you can do it as a recording. You could sing your own songs. It doesn't even have to have an accompaniment track. You could sing them a cappella, as we heard last night, some beautiful a cappella singing, just to protect the words and the music. And generally, before you disseminate it, before you put it either on a website or when you're singing it yourself in public, whatever, you do want to protect your songs. You may have heard about registered mail, things like that. Do it the right way. Do it as a registered copyright. Copyright.gov has all the forms can be downloaded, all the information you need, but I heartily recommend that. Even if you're going to be working with other people, we're talking about collaboration. If you're bringing in musicians or a producer or whatever it may be, you want to feel the peace of mind knowing that you've protected it already. The copyright is stamped as of the day they receive it, so that you can send it in and then the next week you can start working with an arranger, an accompanist, whatever it may be. But I heartily recommend that you do protect your work. It's your intellectual property, and you'd feel really bad if somebody else were taking it without your permission. And at the same time, let me talk a little bit about collaboration, a little bit more, where you may be working with a lyricist, with a musician. Also, musically, you may be working with an arranger. Let's say you have a melody, either that you're humming or that you have a little bit of musical knowledge. You can play it a little bit on the piano or guitar or whatever. You may want someone who has more musical knowledge to bring that closer to perfection, in the sense that if you're going to bring in musicians, let's say you're going to be doing a cabaret show. You have a beautiful community here. let's say there's going to be like a coffee house night or an open mic night where you want to present your work. And in a place this big, you might find there are 10 songwriters who a year from now have a song or 2 or 3 that they want to present. You want to work, let's say, with a pianist where you're going to be singing it. Or you may be working with a pianist and a vocalist. Let's say you want to present your song in the best possible way. You feel your voice isn't great enough to present it in the best possible way. You may want a vocalist. Now, you've got a high school here with talented vocalists. You've got colleges here. I'm sure there are local papers, The Observer. If you put a little ad in there looking for a vocalist for paid demo work, send me a cassette tape or a CD or something to show me what your technique is, what your talent is. I bet you'd get a lot of responses, and then you've got someone to work with. You have to find a pianist, a vocalist. Then I don't know what you have around here in terms of recording studios.
The library.
Yeah.
The library has a recording studio.
Fabulous one.
A fabulous recording studio
Nobody
at
knows
the
that.
library. So you book time, you have a pianist, either you or a vocalist would be there to sing it, and suddenly you're creating music. It's not that hard, you just have to dive into it. It's not that hard to get started. And then you have a demo, you've got a nice recording that you feel has accompaniment, a good vocal on it. You have one of these templates from a Network Solutions website. You have songs now that can be listened to around the world. This is an amazing time we live in. You don't have to get a contract from CBS Records anymore to have your music out there. And if you're working with collaborators, let's say you're working with a pianist, or I work with a very talented arranger who works with what used to be called a synthesizer, but you have all the different samples. And the tracks that you've heard today, those were done by one person. We were consulting back and forth on it, but that's one person who put down strings and piano and guitar and percussion. It's an amazing time in that you can do this kind of work without having a recording studio with 80 people in it. So this is all doable, you just have to do it step by step. Yes, you had a question?
I have a question, but titles to songs, they're not copyrighted, are they?
No, there must be 1,000 songs called I Love You. And that's not personal, but I'm sure. But you seem like a nice guy.
Halfway to Heaven's a better one, you know. So like, there's a Halfway to Heaven that Brantley Gilbert did not too long ago.
That's right.
So.
That's right. Anyone can use a title.
But my major question was, okay, so now you've got all this stuff. Alan Jackson wants to record your song. How does that happen?
Okay, the commercial business is different. You have to try to get your material to somebody who can go to the inside track. And that's very difficult because, for instance, with Nashville, they have songwriters in Nashville that the producers work with. Very often now, the songwriter is a co-writer of the song, whether or not he or she contributes to it. But you can give it a try. The best thing is there if you have an inside track. I wouldn't say that's the most productive way to go. What I like and what I've personally done is getting my music out there personally with my own efforts, with my own website. And that's why I'm here today, because Rose and Linda heard my songs on my website. And I'm connecting with you and I'm having a great time, and hopefully you're having a great time. Don't think that getting into the commercial side of it is a reliable way to go. It would be as if someone said to me, I have a guitar and a nice voice, I want to be a Nashville singer on record. It's the same thing. These are very big industries, it's very hard to get in there. the people who get on the inside, some is talent and some is luck. But you can create, and you can get the joy of creation by doing it personally and distributing it through these sources. And that's what I would encourage you to do. If somebody hears it, or if you find there's someone who might want to listen to your music, well, you've got it already. Because you put together the pianist, the vocalist, the recording studio, you've got something to show now. You can stream it. You don't even have to send a CD anymore. I remember sending cassette tapes. All you have to do is say, go to my website. It's there. It's an MP3 file. It's the best time ever for people with their personal recollections and sympathies and thoughts to get those thoughts out to millions of people. You just have to put in the time and do it step by step. It can seem overwhelming at the beginning, but step by step. You have a poem, find someone to help you with the music. You got the music and the poem, now you've got a song. You've got to find someone who can help you musically with it. Find a pianist. High school, colleges, a little ad in the paper. There are a lot of talented people out there waiting and looking for opportunities that you can give them. Then you have that recording, put together a website. You'd be amazed at the responses you'll get. I get people from around the world calling me up or emailing me, I heard your song, I'd like to do it in British Columbia. When would I ever get a chance to promote anything in British Columbia? But they're coming to me. You just have to put it together. Other questions? Yes?
I have a question.
Website again?
americassongwriter.com.
America's.
You got a card.
Outside send it to you. I got it. Is it
And-
two S's?
It's America's with an S, and then Songwriter starts with an S. Yeah. Yeah.
Did you
And
share it?
that's another, excuse me, that's another thing. You're going to get a domain name. Now, it might be joesmithmusic.com, but whatever it is, once you register that, I use Network Solutions. Once you register that, nobody else can take it. And it might cost $20 a year just to have that name as long as you want it. But once you have it, other people can't use it. So you're building a trademark, you're building a brand, and then people get to know that brand.
I want to know when we're going to British Columbia.
In the winter, Lorna, in the winter time, they're going to be performing it. You get your earmuffs.
Thank you.
You see, I
Thank
took
you,
Lorna
but no thank you.
to Chicago for Veterans Day. There was a school out near Chicago doing a couple of my songs for Veterans Day. So we went out there, and we had the honor of being there for the first snow of the season around November 15th. So she said, after that, next place you take me, it's got to be warmer. So I'm a little disappointed. I thought Tampa was going to be a little bit warmer, but we're working on it. We're working on it.
Did you happen to turn
Thank you.
your mic off, or is the battery going out?
1, 2, 3.
Yeah, it's
So
working.
anyway, it's working. I'm here.
But I want you to be able to sing with your mic.
Yeah. So, other questions? Yes?
Yeah, curiosity. Now, when they perform your song in British Columbia, do you get paid for that?
No, I don't ask for payment.
But could you?
You could, but I tell you what it is, the mechanics of getting paid. I tried that with schools. And listen to me. First of all, most schools, unfortunately, have no budget for sheet music.
Right.
If they do, it's like, well, we have to put in a purchase order with the bursar. That has to be approved by the trustees. You know, and it doesn't mean anything. For the couple of dollars, I want to have my songs performed. You have to decide what is your goal. My goal is to get my music out there, to come to hear talented people sing my songs. There are people that are waiting around to get their orders, and they'll always be waiting. You have to define what do you want out of being a songwriter. Now, it may be that you want to perform your songs. So great, you've put some songs together, you work with an accompanist, or perhaps you are talented enough to be an accompanist and a singer, find a venue. Maybe there's a Rotary that would be interested, or a church. A lot of my songs are done by churches. They do patriotic songs, they do inspirational songs. There are a lot of venues out there, but if you're going to start charging, you're going to find it's a very, very long road. Practically speaking, it's too hard to get anyone to approve an order for $50. You have to decide what you're looking for as a songwriter. Other questions? Yes?
Well, when you go through the copyright process, as far as notes in the scale, there's only a very limited number, so you've got a very limited way to arrange those notes to actually come up with a tune. Is it hard to get that
That's the
copyright?
miracle of music.
Yes.
That's the miracle of music. There are only 8 notes in the scale, but
You
grouping
love it
them...
without the sharps and flats.
Okay, but it's the grouping. It's the grouping of the notes. It's the phrasing.
Yeah.
It's the length of your lyric. It's where does the lyric go up and down. It has always amazed me that there are millions of songs being written on what's basically a very finite number of notes.
Yeah.
But that's the way the human heart works. You have all these different permutations. It's like fingerprints. How many can there be? But there are.
I just figured, I was just wondering, because I know there's a lot of lawsuits about, I wrote this song 20 years ago.
And that's one of the reasons. You have a good point there. The reason why there are so many lawsuits is because people think that another song is theirs. That's why you have to copyright your songs, so you can show at a certain point in time you had it. But for an infringement claim, it has to be not only similarity, but also access. In other words, if you're going to be saying that, that a famous country singer did your song, well, there may be a similarity, but then you have to show, well, how did that country singer get to hear your song? Now, if it's on the internet, there's always that chance, and there might be a claim there. My point would be, because I am a lawyer by training, and I've actually done copyright law over the years, my settlement would be, forget about paying me anything for that song. I want you to put one of my other songs on your next record, so that I get promotion as a songwriter. See, but that's one of the reasons you have to copyright your songs to start with. Yeah. Other questions?
Yeah, so whatever happened to all the Irving Berlins and the Roger Hammersteins, all those people of the old days, which we all love, where are they today?
Well, the short answer is that a lot of those songs and those musical plays are still accruing a lot of royalties. My Fair Lady is coming back to Broadway. The composers of that, Lerner and Lowe, are going to be making money from it.
No, I know that, but I'm talking about our generation and people of the next generation. We don't get these songs anymore. At least I don't see them.
The
I don't
market,
hear them.
well, the market has changed, but for instance, they're on Broadway now. You've got, like, Hamilton. I haven't seen it yet. I hear it's very good. Every time that production is put on, the composer is going to get royalties. When the cast recording is sold, he gets royalties. The market has changed, and not for the better, in that for traditional songwriting, which I like to think I do, there's less of a market for that. There's more of a market now for rap and hip-hop. It's a different kind of writing, and often if you look at the credits on those songs, they have 12 different writers. Everybody who happened to bring sandwiches into the studio is a co-writer. That's the way it is now. It's a different market, and that's why I'm saying, don't worry about the world. Why do you want to write songs? What is your goal? And you stick to that goal. That's what's important, because it's an expression of you, and if you get satisfaction for it by writing songs and hearing people who enjoy those songs perform them, then songwriting has done its job for you. It's very personal. You have to define your goal. Yes?
Do you personally, Hank, do any of the chord structure, or do you only do the melodic line and then go to an arranger?
That's a very good question. I work with an arranger. I've worked with him for 20 years. His name is Sid Sherry. Very talented guy. I write my lyrics and I write my melody line, and I know enough about writing music, I can write out the notes. Then I'll go to Sid and I'll give him my sheet, and I will sing the song for him so that he can put it into musical notation, which is, it's a real talent. You know, what's a quarter note, what's a half note, all this. But when I sing it, he can take my notes and put it down into musical notation. Then we have what's called a lead sheet. Then I'll talk with him what I'm looking for in the mood of this song, because as you may know, there are a lot of different chords that can express sadness or brightness or whatever. I'll tell him what I want, what I'm looking for in the song, and we'll work together to get the sound that I want as a basic chord structure. Then I'll work with Sid to develop the instrumentation. Do I want piano to be the main instrument here? Do I want guitar? You have to think, where is this song going? If it's a country song, it's probably going to be guitar-centric. If it's more of a rock song, it might be electric guitar. If it's a more mood song, maybe it's going to be more piano. But that's something you work with your arranger to achieve. What you have to always remember is, it's your song. Even though this person may have far more musical knowledge than I do, at the end of the day, I have to like it. It has to be my way. Now, somebody may say, this rhythm here doesn't really fit. Well, that may be a valid point. I'll say, well, let's see how we can make it fit that I still like it. Okay, because part of it is that at the end of the day, I have to say, yep, that's my song. That's exactly the way I wanted it to be. Because if you're promoting it, if you're sending it out, whether it's to Nashville or to churches or to schools, and they turn it down, and most people turn it down just because they don't need it, they've got whatever they want, at least I have to feel, well, it was my song. If they turned it down, at least they turned down my song. Not, well, if I had done what I wanted to do, maybe they would have liked it. You have to always feel it's your song, so it's either liked or not liked, but it's your song. Yes?
How would you go about finding arrangers in an area? Would you go to colleges, or would you go to?
I would definitely speak to the head of the music department. He or she may be an arranger personally, may be looking to take on some additional work, some additional income after hours. There may be talented students that they could hook you up with. Instead of someone delivering pizza, maybe they could make better money working with you, arranging your songs. There's a lot of talent in every community. You just have to reach out and look for it.
Are there local schools of music around here?
It doesn't have to be a music
Yeah,
school.
there is
Hillsborough.
Hillsborough Community College, and also
Just thought, thinking
USL.
about like a Berkeley type
If you're
thing. You know?
overseas.
Hillsborough Community College has a really good performing arts section.
See, and if you have Hillsborough, undoubtedly there are talented students there, teachers there, who want some extra income and may even find it to be of interest to them. Well, I haven't worked on any popular songs before. Let me give that a try, and who knows, maybe it'll go somewhere. And on their resume, they'll be able to say, I wrote the music for this song that's been performed in these schools or these churches. It's good for them too. It has to be something that works out for everybody. Yes?
To add to that, in town here, the churches, a lot of the music directors are former college musicians. instructors, PhDs. And
Right.
they're right in town, part-time, working for church, here.
There you have it. You have people right here who are very talented. Now, you have to be a little careful. People may be very classically oriented. They may not get what you're looking for. Or they may look down on you. That is a no-no. No one has the right to disrespect anybody else. They may not like your music. Okay, they can pass on it. You have to find someone who respects you in your own right and is willing to work with you. Nobody can look down on you because you don't have a PhD in musical composition. Other questions? Yes?
Hank, early in your career, you did reviews at Lincoln Center. What kind of reviews did you do?
Well, it's an interesting question. A couple of years back, I did musical reviews. They were performed at the Library of Lincoln Center, which was a beautiful venue. They were performed in leading cabarets around town. It was a different concept in that it was a theater production. Theater, by its nature, is very collaborative. So I would have a director. I don't have to tell Rose. Literally, you have a director, you have a choreographer. I had a musical director teaching the songs to the performers. We had auditions. It's a much more collaborative work. And as time went on, I wanted to concentrate on the songs rather than all the machinery of getting everybody together, learning the songs, booking the spaces, things like that. But it was a great experience, and I'm glad I did it. I learned a lot from it. Also, it was a little bit different in terms of the style of music. It was more like a Rodgers and Hammerstein. When you're presenting a play directly to people in an audience, it has to have a little bit more of a contact factor with the audience, as opposed to, let's say, a pop song that would be sung by a chorus. It's a different feel. I had a sketch writer, a comedy sketch writer on a few of these things. So it was a great experience, but I decided I wanted to be able to get my music out there without all the complexity of a musical production. Anything else? Well, thank you all very much. It's been a pleasure. And I look forward to the production this evening. Thank you very much.